All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the wasmCloud community meeting for Wednesday, May 25th. We have a new member in this meeting, and so I just wanted to let Joseph Sandoval give a little introduction.
Sure. Hey, thanks everyone for letting me be a part of this meeting. I'm with Adobe currently, and I am a principal engineer lead with our internal container platform team that's kind of powering most of our apps at Adobe. I've been trying to get myself kind of current with what's kind of happening in the WASM space. One of my counterparts has been very active as well. He actually spoke at the WASM Day, primarily just to try to provide strategic direction for a lot of our engineers across Adobe as we kind of evaluate all the building blocks that make up cloud native. I've also been very active in the Kubernetes community. I just most recently came off being the Emeritus Advisor for the 124 release. I also work along with SIG release and just a lot of the maintainer tools, a lot of things of how we just kind of get Kubernetes cut and release, and also around SIG Contrib. So love being part of communities and trying to just share the things that I've learned along the way. And as this group is developing, if there's opportunities for me to participate and help shepherd along, I love to be able to be in a position to help make this grow.
All right, thank you so much for joining and doing an introduction. So after that, I think that's all of our new members for today. As you know, we like to start with a demo, and we have a pretty exciting demo today. Steve, if you want to go ahead and share what you've got.
Yes, welcome, Joseph. All right. There's the beautiful blank canvas that we'll use to start. So we've been, a lot of folks have been asking for what other languages can we use to build our actors besides Rust. And today we're introducing TinyGo. So one way to get started is with the wash new actor command. Now I'm using a wash that's pre-released, but will come soon. I'll show you where the SDK is. If you did this before this week, the only option would be start a Rust actor, but now there's also a TinyGo option. And you click hello. I'll give it a name for the project. We'll call it Mickey, and it creates a folder with my mickey.go. The syntax of TinyGo is pretty much the same as Go. There are a couple limitations. And I'm going to show you. This is generated from a template, and the template hasn't been up to date. I'm going to actually simplify this a little bit because we just made a change where you don't have to implement that health request on your own. So this is all you have to do. Here's one method that responds to an HTTP request. So the makefile, which is generated, automatically links it to there it is, HTTP server. So I'm just gonna say make to build it. And then I'm going to say make push to push it to my local registry, and start to start it, and link it to the capability provider. Now I could do inventory to make sure it's all up and running. Now, just to see what it does is it returns hello. If I do curl, it was 8085 is the default port. Oh, really? Ah, really? Okay, dang it. Well, sometimes demos don't work. But I did want to show you something pretty cool. that the WASM that it builds is only 26K. If you've looked at the size of the REST actors are quite a bit bigger. So we tried hard in doing this to make it very low code. And let me show you a couple other things.
Hey, Steve, did you start the provider? That might just be what's missing here.
Yeah, I did just before the call. Let's see.
It looks like you didn't WASM bleach because I see already listening. Address already in use.
Okay, let's try this. All right. Let's do this. All right, let's change it to 8999. And should already be started. It again. Oh, there we go. Hello, hello. Thanks for the prompt, Taylor. Here, let me show you the browser tab. So this is the host dashboard. You've all seen it's always running with a wasmCloud host on default is port 4000. The TinyGo SDK is right here in the wasmCloud repo. And all you have to do to use it is you just do go get the TinyGo SDK. In this case, we also had to get the HTTP server interface to get the definitions for the HTTP request. So we've gone through the interfaces repo in GitHub, where we store the interface definitions. So for HTTP server, this is where we keep the Smithy definitions. And there's a REST subdirectory with the REST library. And now there's a TinyGo subdirectory for all of them that has the code automatically code generated for your TinyGo library. Are there any questions?
I have one quick question, Steve.
Yeah.
The templates, when we do this, correct me if I'm wrong, when we do wash new, and this probably isn't new, I just probably figured this out the hard way. It actually reaches out to GitHub and pulls templates. So if we're on a non-internet connected machine, are we not able to generate a new actor via the templating?
There are flags you can use to pull a template from another folder. So if you knew in advance you're going to be offline, you could take a snapshot of that folder and point to it from the command line.
Very cool. Thank you.
It uses handlebar templates to generate the templates, and even that list of options you get is customizable. You can create a new file. So if you want to build sort of standard app templates for your team, you can also do that.
Very cool. Thank you.
All right, I'll hand it back to you, Brooks.
Sure. And I actually had a quick question,
Yeah,
Steve,
sure.
So I was gonna so this ability to generate a TinyGo actor project, is that in Wash now, or is that coming soon?
Great question, Brooks. When you see the announcement for the Wash 0.11 release, it'll be there. We've got it in, it's in the GitHub now if you wanted to build it from source, but I think it should you can tell me. It's a team call on when we release it, but it might be within the next couple of days.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to get this released in the next couple of days. We'll likely do some kind of blog post and talking about announcing TinyGo as an additional language. So all of that will probably happen at the same time. So if you wanted to give this a try now, you can install from main, but we'll have this released in the next couple of days so that it'll just be standard.
Yeah, so actually the only thing I used Wash for right here was to generate the code project from templates. But if you just copy down echo.go from that actor SDK, you can build that and you don't need the new Wash at all. So you can build TinyGo actors today. It's the only thing you need Wash for is the templating. I mean, there's a lot of other good uses for Wash, but it's not needed to start your TinyGo project.
That's a good point. And probably one more thing just to point out is that we'll also be updating our documentation. A lot of our documentation goes through the initial flow with a Rust-based actor. And now, we have a different possible path of running through that hello example. We're still using Rust capability providers, but the first example could be done with TinyGo now. So we'll definitely be updating our documentation to support that code path too.
I'll also make one more point is we did this in response to feedback. There's a lot of interest and we encourage you to please tell us what you like and don't like and what other languages you'd love to see. We've got some other languages in the works for both actors and capability providers.
All righty. Well, that has been, it's probably one of the most exciting demos we've done recently, announcing TinyGo support, which will be very fun to toy with and get some examples out there and have people use it. I have a couple of different things that I just wanted to mention from like general community and WASM land. We just came back, Taylor, Liam, and I all went to KubeCon EU this year. So we had a great time in Spain over the last week. We had a lot of representation for WASM on the server side and wasmCloud specifically. Christoph Brewing gave a great talk at Cloud Native Rejects. That stream is now live on YouTube, so you can go watch his talk. It's timestamped. I assume that they're going to slice it up into individual videos and things like that. We had our very own Liam Randall give a talk at Cloud Native Security Day. We had 2 talks at Cloud Native WASM Day that mentioned wasmCloud or that were specifically about wasmCloud. And Taylor and I gave a talk at the main conference, from Cosmonic, but on all the things that wasmCloud enables in the Cloud Native landscape today. So we have a lot of exciting videos that as soon as they're posted on YouTube, we'll be publishing them out on the Slack to make sure that you all can see it. If I know that there were many of you that we didn't get to meet at KubeCon last week, but meeting a lot of the people in the WASM community in person was really fun for me personally. In addition to the conference last week, we also had a couple of updates to our wasmCloud.com. First thing, under the community section, you can now find our Slack, which many of you are already in there, but if you're not, you can join there. And we also have a calendar, which we through our talk on this calendar, we have the wasmCloud weekly community call. But as things begin to show up in the WASM community, like the wasmCloud or the WASM Time biweekly meeting or our machine learning subgroup, we plan to throw it on here. So this is a great thing to add to your own calendar or your work calendar, wherever you keep your wasmCloud stuff. And the other thing that we added to the wasmCloud.com site is our blog. So we published a couple of blogs from Cosmonic, the cosmonic.com site, but we also want to be publishing blogs that are specifically focused on wasmCloud. So we have 2 out there now. One, which I wrote, which is a little guide on how to publish a wasmCloud actor to GitHub packages. And that is actually already included in our project templates repo, so you can go ahead and give this a try now. And one from Kevin about algebraic effects and Kevin, would you like to say anything about your blog that you published here? We haven't really, I think this like just got merged in, so we haven't done any publicity about it, but you can give a teaser if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, the general idea behind that blog post is that when we talk about what our capability providers are, we tend to refer to them as, non-functional requirements, and that makes sense to a certain audience of people. But so I wanted to write this blog post to compare our capability providers to what functional programming refers to as algebraic effects.
Yeah, awesome. So please, we'll do a little more publicity about this one, but go check it out. And then the last thing that I had for general WASM community from us at Cosmonic, and thank you so much to Jordan Rash, who's on this call, who did a ton of work on this, and Brian Sletton, who put together the training for this, the WebAssembly course. We now have this website, labs.cosmonic.com, which is supposed to be, it's a new home for the training for wasmCloud or just for WebAssembly in general. So we wanted to provide a good space for people to go, if they haven't heard of WebAssembly before, you can go check out the WebAssembly Basics Training Lab. This has everything from the types that WebAssembly supports to, tables or memory. It gets very, oh, I won't spoil anything, but good sure, Brian. It gets very into the details of the WebAssembly format. So it's really great if you haven't actually gotten to play with WASM, at least if you've maybe just heard of it or if you've always used it at a higher level. And we also have our own wasmCloud training module. And training sounds so official, but really we want it to just be like an introductory, spend a couple minutes, walk through a guided tour of what wasmCloud is. We previously used Katacoda for something like this, but this ended up being better for like a guided tutorial kind of thing. Jordan, do you have any comments or the calls to actions here on the training site, since I know you did, a ton of it?
No, I think my only feedback would be if any bugs you run into, feel free to share them. We've only had this deployed about a week, so we're still, combing everything out of it. This will now work. I fixed the image, so we can show this.
What are you talking about? It always worked. Yeah, so I hope that this is a good resource for you all. For some of you who have been using wasmCloud and WebAssembly already, it may be a little bit repeat information, but I actually found it really helpful to go through. I have Brian Sletton's book, The Definitive Guide to WebAssembly, and I found the interactive step through pretty useful just to use it in action. So just wanted to put that out there. Please go try it and let us know what you think or if you run into anything. Okay, does anyone else have anything for, general WebAssembly community, general wasmCloud community things, or something that you'd like to share?
So Brooks, if like the resources like this and stuff, where is this? Are this all contained on your repo, our meeting notes captured? What I'm trying to do is just as I'm going along, I want to be able to easily share, all these things that from this meeting. Obviously, there's recording. Where can I easily go find all these things?
Yeah, great question. So if you're looking for the, things like the training labs, we actually have that on, here we go. We actually have that on the Cosmonic website. Under open source, we have labs. And actually on the labs page, that's a great place to go as kind of a general hub. These meetings are recorded, and where we actually put those is on our YouTube channel. You can follow the link at the bottom. It's just youtube.com/wasmCloud. That's kind of generally where our meetings get posted and everything. Thank you, Justin, for putting that there. Another great place to just kind of stay up to date and give quick feedback or ask questions is in our Slack. That's where all of us are generally pretty active and can give quick feedback. Jordan, I know that we have some of this open sourced. Is there a repository for training like we would want to open issues on?
Not yet.
Okay.
It does exist. There with the platform we use, there's some things I have to do to make it a little safer, because right now you can just squash on top of the training because there's no real like safety checks in place. So as soon as we get some safety checks in place, that will be open sourced.
Okay, cool. Joseph, did that answer your question on where to find stuff and give feedback?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I look forward to, as I dig in, if anything else comes up, I'll bring suggestions.
Perfect. So you can stop sharing just in case there's anything else. Alrighty, well, the last thing that I have on the agenda, I do have a couple community callouts, which, I know that not everybody here has been here before. The community callout section is where I try to select a couple of good first issues on some of our repositories and point them out as great places to start, give a little detail, and encourage people to come and contribute, because we try and welcome contributors. This first one, Dan filed this one. We have a feature called wash context that you can configure different contexts for working with different wasmCloud clusters or wasmCloud lattices. So you can easily work on your local machine, or you could be working with some kind of cloud deployment of wasmCloud, and you can easily switch back and forth, kind of like a cube control context. And the way that it works today is you specify a path to like a JSON file or to a context. Now, I actually really agree with the way that Dan phrased this. We should instead be able to specify like the name of a context, similar to how Cube Control does it. So this is a great place to get started. Really, it's just it's in the wasmCloud shell. So this is a Rust project, and you'll be specifying a name to a defined context. This is a great way to make an impact. The second one, I noticed this the other day when I was testing wash claims inspect. I was inspecting a local file on disk. I was actually playing with the TinyGo examples. And if you specify a file that doesn't exist, we actually attempt to fall back and pull that as an OCI artifact. And this is intended. This is nice because, just like I was talking a little bit later here, if you have build.com/myartifact/wasm or something, that's a valid path and a valid OCI reference, depending on where it is. But in general, like the experience of trying to inspect a local file and then getting an error about pulling images is a little bit of a confusing experience. So I think a good way to improve this would just be to mention that we couldn't find a file instead of that fallback error. So this is another great place to help aid the developer experience and any initial confusion. And the last one I wrote this morning while frustrated, because this happened to me a ton of times, where I'll write something like wash key gen cluster, but the command is wash keys gen cluster to generate an end key. It is such a small nit, but clap, the thing that we use to write our command line app, supports aliases. And since we don't ever plan to have two separate commands for key and keys, or link and links, these kind of things, the plurality should really be kind of auto-corrected, like a Z shell autocorrect. So please excuse my slightly frustrated tense when writing this issue, but this is another place that can really help aid the milliseconds of frustration that you get when you type in the wrong command. So all of the community callouts this week are on Wash or the wasmCloud shell. So it's a Rust project. If you're new to Rust, all of these things are pretty quick fixes that make an impact. That's what we try to do for our good first issues here. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask them now, or if not, just or if you're, what I mean to say is if you're interested in taking on one of these, just leave a comment on the issue that you're going to take a look at it, and look forward to the contribution. Alrighty, I think that that's all that I had for the the structured part of the community meeting. Anybody? Let's see. Jordan, earlier you were talking about an issue with like the wash container breaking on the latest build. Do you want to talk about what happened there, what the fix was?
So the TLDR is 2 days ago, Alpine latest bumped to 3.16, and Rust Alpine, so the Rust image with the Alpine tag is still on 3.15. So that's caused a so we build with 3.15, then we try and run it in 3.16, and the libSSL and libcrypto versions are different. So locally, I've tagged the wash container to Alpine 3.15 and then Alpine to 3.15, but I have not pushed that because I don't know what that means long term, right? I don't know if wash will need 3.16 to build eventually or not. So I had to do it really quick because the training scenario that Brooks just demoed was crashing. It's back up now. But yeah, that's probably an issue I need to write up. I only discovered it like an hour ago, and then we can figure out what to do.
Yep. Okay. That sounds good. I think pinning to a version should really help. In a recent PR that I was putting into Wash, I tried to grab the crates that we use and see if I can trigger optional feature flags to turn on Rust TLS for any any possible implementations to use that instead of the native SSL, so that maybe at least we won't have to pull in a libSSL shared object. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Alrighty, well, unless anyone else has anything else, I think I can go ahead and stop recording, and we can hang out, talk about our super fun topic that happens right after recording ends, like usual. Alrighty, thanks everyone.